Hello Dicers, my dream chasers. Welcome back to Dice Decides. So, what are whiteholes? Have you heard about this? Everyone knows about black holes, but what about whiteholes? Recently, I don't know the exact date, but I think it was just like a month ago or so, scientists discovered whiteholes. Can you believe that? I've read about it before, and now they actually have discovered it. It's so strange, but let me explain what a white hole actually is. So, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with black holes. You know, the things we can't even really see, but we notice black holes because light around them, light bends around them, and you see disturbances in the space. We can definitely detect black holes, but we've recently noticed white holes. And it's like, what the heck is a white hole? So let me explain. So a white hole is the exact opposite of a black hole. So a black hole sucks in matter, has very strong gravity that sucks in matter, but a white hole spews out matter. The opposite is so strange. It's spewing out matter in two directions. It's like a line, and it's so powerful, so don't even try to enter a white hole because it's gonna burn up your spaceship. It's so much energy there. So it's so fascinating though, because to understand white holes, we need to understand black holes better. So what exactly is a black hole? Like I said, it sucks in matter, and when you enter the singularity of a black hole, no one's able to prove this, but you enter a parallel universe, okay, where everything flips, and it's still the same world, but all the matter, all what we call normal matter in this world turns into dark matter, and everything we call dark matter turns into matter. Like the polar opposites flip. They flip. And so you're left with a parallel universe that's unfamiliar. Isn't that strange? But it's still parallel, it's just that everything flipped. So, yeah. If you fall into a black hole, guess what? You'll be spewed out of a white hole. That's what a white hole is. Because it spews out normal matter. That's why it's white. That's why we can't see it. So that means black holes spew out dark matter. And that's interesting as well, which could explain why our universe is accelerating, because we're getting more and more dark matter, which is repelling all the normal matter away from each other. That's what we call the accelerated expansion of the universe, because we see normal matter, we see stars, we see galaxies move away from each other, and we can't explain that, so we just say the universe is expanding. But is it though? It's just normal matter being moved away from each other. If you want to call that universe expansion, sure, go ahead. But it's just the ratio between normal matter and dark matter that's decreasing. It's becoming more equal. So the universe is not going to expand forever. It's going to reach some kind of equilibrium where there's an even amount of dark matter and an even amount of normal matter, and it'll stop expanding then. But anyway, back to white holes. So if they're the opposite of a black hole, they spew out things, so you can't enter it because things come out of it. And if you entered a black hole, you would come out of a white hole. So, but as with black holes, there's many types of black holes. There's supermassive black holes, there's stellar black hole, I don't know, there's tiny black holes as well, like atom-sized. So that means there's all types of white holes. The reason we don't discover them as much is because there's more dark matter in the parallel universe than there is normal matter, so it's bigger of a chance for a black hole appear than for a white hole to appear. And they don't last very long either, because when it starts, when a white hole opens and starts spewing out normal matter, eventually the abundance of normal matter in our universe sort of repels it back, because opposites attract equals repel. So since we have an abundance of normal matter, it repels and shuts down the white hole, it doesn't last long. But that's why black holes last so long. There's nothing to really shut them down because there's an abundance of normal positive matter, which then attracts dark matter. But then when it gets close, it doesn't really merge because there's this is hard to explain, but there's dark matter inside of us. Not dark matter, but negative charge. So normal matter has 1/3 negative charge. Dark matter has 1/3 positive charge. And this is why when they get close, the outer parts of, say, a galaxy is negative. The center of the galaxy is positive, and the center of a dark matter galaxy is, it also has positivity in it, like I said. And density enhances positivity. And so when they get close, they start sort of repelling each other. It's hard to really visualize this. Anyway, there's dark matter galaxies we've discovered where there's 99% dark matter. And the normal matter we find in that galaxy is moving so weird we can't explain it. It's like going all over the place. And I can explain it. It's just, it's being repelled by the dark matter because there's just so much of it. Like I said, the outer parts of everything, of our skin, of Earth's surface, is more negative than the density inside. So just take me, for example. My skin is negatively charged, which doesn't mean opposite charge. Negatively charged means less charge. It depends what you're comparing it to. So you compare it with what's denser of the same object, I guess you could say. So my skin is more negative than what's more dense inside of me, which is my bones. So my bones are positive, my skin is negative. Does that make sense? So my mass is mostly made out of bones, so it's 2/3 positive, 1/3 negative, because my skin makes up the 1/3, and I guess the midpoint between bones and skin is, it turns out to be neutral. And this is how it works. This is how it works with planets, with anything. The denser it is, the more positive it is. So it's the same thing with dark matter. It just depends what you compare it to. So the sun is more positive than the Earth. The moon is more negative than the Earth. You know, the surface of the Earth is more negative than the core of the Earth. So, yeah. But there's something, I want this video to be mostly about white holes, so there's something interesting, really interesting about white holes. It's that, yes, they're short lasting, but not the supermassive ones. And I don't think we've discovered supermassive white holes yet, but it's because very specific conditions need to be in place for that to happen. How do you get a supermassive white hole? Well, let me tell you, I've thought a lot about this. So you need dark matter and normal matter to collide, which doesn't happen because normally when dark matter and normal matter get close, they start repelling each other because the outsides are still both negative. But if outside forces add a lot of pressure on it, it will happen. So I think that in the center of our galaxy is a supermassive white hole. Could make sense. But how does this information help anyone? You can't enter a white hole because it's repelling normal matter. It's spewing out normal matter. You can't enter that. But you don't need to. All you need to do is just understand what it is to then create a tiny one. Okay? And the only way to enter it is by being in the creation moment where dark matter and normal matter ultimately collide. And so do you guys know how to do that? I've thought about it. I think it makes sense. So in order to enter a white hole or white wormhole, or however you want to call it, you have to find your anti-clone. So I would have to find myself in a parallel universe, and then just walk into it. I will feel resistance, so I'll just have to use brute force to walk into myself, my parallel self, and then we'll enter a different dimension. But we'll get back to that. Yeah, so to meet my parallel self, I obviously have to jump into a black hole because that's how you enter the parallel world, where there's mostly dark matter. And so when I enter a black hole, I'm being spewed out from a white hole, and my parallel self is being spewed out of a black hole in this universe, but also in the parallel universe. But the one that's being spewed out of a black hole in the parallel universe is coming from a lower parallel universe. And you know, there's an infinite amount of parallel universes, so there's a lot of nuance, and if you understand this concept, it will make sense. So hear me out. So yeah, parallel self is being spewed out of a black hole. I'm being spewed out of a white hole in the universe parallel to us. And so to find the midpoint between the black hole and the white hole, I need to figure something out before jumping into the black hole in my universe. I need to figure out where the closest white hole is. That's where I have to go, because the closest white hole in our universe will turn into the closest black hole in the parallel universe. So to meet my anti-clone, anti-dice, anti-Jacksepticeye, what? But no, like, to meet my anti-self, I have to fly towards the black hole in the parallel universe. And the midpoint between the black hole and the white hole, that's where I'll meet my anti-clone. Could you meet me halfway? That song, by the way, watch the music video, and that's exactly what happens at the end of the music video. It's trippy. Anyway, it's a sidetrack, but so what happens? What happens when you merge with your anti-clone? Because you're not gonna be attracted, like, you're not gonna feel like a strong force, but the strong force will be your desire. So you are gonna push yourself towards your anti-clone because you want to enter the white hole. At least I do. So once you merge with your anti-clone, because your anti-clone is gonna do exactly the parallel things to you, it's gonna be trippy. It's gonna be like looking in a mirror, but you merge with your clone somehow, anti-clone, and then you enter a parallel 6D phase space. And that's a mouthful, but what is a 6D phase space? So it's, our 6D phase space is the collection of all the parallel planes, okay? So you enter a different collection of those. And the pathway between those, that is the 7th dimension, okay? But let's not get too deep into dimensions because I've already made a video about that, but everything's connected. So what happens? What happens when you enter like a world with, you know, different parallel worlds? What does that mean? So here's what it means. It means time is going backwards. That's what it means. Let me explain why. Because, so what is time? We need to define time first. Time is a direction, okay? It's nothing but a direction. It's the direction 3D objects not move, but evolve. Because moving, that's 4th dimension. I mean, 4th dimension is time, but space-time, that's the direction. So, because, you know, yeah, like, the future will become the past. And the past we know, like our memories, the past, used to be the future. It's just that we're going through one direction. And the reason we're going in a specific direction is because of the speed of light. Okay? Which is a little under 300 million meters per second. So the speed of light is always happening within us as well, because light is moving like in circles where mass is denser, and that's what creates the experience of time. Our molecules sort of interacting with each other and eventually degrading, which is what we call aging. But yeah, the parallel universe, not the parallel phase space, is backwards time, but double as fast. How do I know all this? I've dug deep into it, okay? Very deep. So why is it double as fast? Why is it backwards in the first place? Well, let me explain why it's double as fast first. Double as fast in the other direction. So double as fast means not 300 million meters per second, but 600 million meters per second is the light speed in that phase space. But it's negative 600 million meters per second. And how am I getting these numbers? Okay, so since it is 300 million meters per second inside, because all matter is made out of light. You need to understand that first to understand this. But so my anticlone also has matter. It's still matter. It's just an opposite charge. But it's still matter. Dark matter is matter. So we still have the same light speed. So when 300 million meters per second meets another 300 million meters per second, and we merge that, we can't fit in our sixth dimension anymore, because all of our sixth dimension is it has a constant, it's not completely constant, but it's more or less constant speed of light, which is 300 meters per second. So if we merge, we can't exist here anymore. This makes a lot of sense. So we enter a different phase space. Oh boy. And what tripped me out a little bit is understanding why it's negative. And I don't know if I fully understood it yet, but it just makes the most sense. Because the closest to, because like with everything else, since it is 300 here, which is very close to 1/3 of, a billion, let's say. And so that means it has to go in the other direction, because it has to be balanced out by 2/3 something, and that would be negative. Because if it was like more positive, it would be like 600, not negative, but positive, and 600 and 300 would be, it'd be like a billion, and positive don't really go together. They repel each other. So it definitely makes a lot more sense for it to be negative. Okay? You have to understand positive and negative, how they interact with each other, because then you understand how things are more likely to be, because they just make more sense. So yeah, you're entering a backwards world, because everything will be going backwards, because like I said, time is a direction. And this is where things get really weird, because obviously we're not used to living backwards. So what would that mean? what is our society? What is our reality? I think of it as, humans advancing, improving, and just exploring. We're discovering new things. That's our reality. But if you reverse that, it becomes a degradable society. And I want to show you guys something. So, do you guys know the face on Mars that was discovered like 47 years ago or something? Yeah, NASA made a post saying 25 years ago something funny happened around Mars. And it talks about how a satellite found like an Egyptian looking face on Mars. And so it made me think, what if that really is supposed to be a face? Most people obviously would just discard that as a coincidence. But I'm not saying coincidences don't exist, but some aren't purely a coincidence. Maybe a lot of them aren't, but this one is so weird because it made me think that it's made by our future selves. Because like I said, time is a direction. And so if we're evolving now, that means in the backwards time, we're devolving. All of our technology is devolving. That means there was one day where we had to leave Mars for the last time. And when you think about it like this, it's just so sad. So I just tried reading this article by reversing the meaning. So just hear me out right now. It would say 25 years until something sad will happen around Mars. NASA's Viking 1 spacecraft will be circling the planet, snapping photos of possible takeoff sites for its sister ship Viking 2 when it will spot the shadowy likeness of a human face. An enormous head nearly 2 miles from end to end will seem to be staring back at the cameras from a region of the red planet called Sidonia. And it just made me so sad because like the word funny I turned it into sad because humanity will be sad since, it's sad to devolve. And I wholeheartedly believe that the face was made by our future selves, but in our timeline, we're gonna destroy it. Not if I can do something about this. Don't destroy the face. But we will, because you can't change the timeline like that. Because we don't know when we're gonna destroy it, but yeah, I believe it was made by our future selves, but in the opposite meaning in this time direction. We're gonna destroy it because we won't. We're not gonna want to be confused, thinking we were here before or something like that. Humans will find a reason to destroy it, but don't let it happen. But anyway, I like that face. It's cool. It's eerie because it does look like an Egyptian, and yeah. I've noticed coincidences, like when I realized all of this about like time being a direction, I've noticed where thoughts come from, and this gets so deep. Thoughts don't come from the past. Thoughts come from the future. Now, this is, I know it sounds insane, but sometimes you just have these random thoughts, and then you go on about your life, and then suddenly you're experiencing like something very, very closely related to the thought you had, say, a couple days ago, a week ago, maybe even a couple hours ago, or some minutes ago. It could go like that, but I mean, most people would dismiss that as a coincidence. But look out for suspicious coincidences, and if it keeps happening, that will be your confirmation that it's thoughts coming from the future. Because your backward self has lived through the future, but it's also such a weird thing that in the backwards universe, our future is just as clear as our memories of, the past. Is that weird? Like, seeing into the future is just as clear as we can see into our past. But it's the opposite of seeing into the past. In the backwards world, to see into the past is the same vague feeling of us trying to predict the future. And it's such a different world. But if we merge with our anti-clone, we'll get to experience that. It'll just be double as fast backwards. And so this also explains why the speed of light isn't constant. I mean, it's not really constant because when antimatter merges with normal matter, it enters the backwards time, but then the backwards time place has to input something into our universe. So there's a trade happening when, it's always like this. So it's inputting energy into our universe, which is, it's decreasing because it's minus 600 and then ours is plus 300. So theirs is a stronger force. And so it's making our speed of light go into negative, or more negative. So our speed of light used to be higher and now it's going down. We can't measure this. Scientists will say it's constant, but it's really not. But it's just such small changes, you can't measure this. We're talking about changes over all the parallel planes. This is so immeasurable, you could say. Oh my god, this video is long. Have I explained enough about white holes? I think so. It's very fascinating stuff, guys. And I can't believe it. We actually discovered white holes. But speed of light is decreasing. And that means time is slowing down. Oh boy. But it's fine. Once we manage to travel near the speed of light, that will conserve time. Because when you travel close to the speed of light, everything that's not traveling close to the speed of light is aging very quickly, so you can still mess with time more than we think. Anyway, was this exciting, guys? I'm so excited about this topic. This is already too long. I'm gonna end it now. Hope you guys enjoyed. So remember to gently tap on that white hole and ring that bell so you don't miss an upload. Thanks for watching, Dicers. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you next time.